Greetings, my good hot men. It's Simone here. What you guys are giving me?
I'm sorry, I tried. But
I wasn't looking.
And that was it.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to I Was Thinking with Nafis and Simone. I'm Simone.
And I'm Nafis.
After I just embarrassed myself like that, and back with us again is Macy.
Hello.
And I did that so we could, give a preview of what we're talking about. Does no one remember that?
I do.
Oh, I remember. That's why it's funny.
Okay, yeah, so we are wrapping up this, what I thought was going to be one episode turned into 3-part episodes of talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we're finishing it with season 3, Book Fire. Yes, but before we do that, quick icebreaker, because we haven't talked to each other in a while. So how's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? Are we better than last time we recorded? Because we were all a little delirious at the beginning. Just a little.
I'm doing okay. Not too bad.
It's good. What about you, Macy?
I'm not worse than I was, but not better either. So,
is that good?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm fine. I'm fine. We're good.
Okay. I worry about you sometimes.
Oh yeah, I worry about myself sometimes.
Alright, and I'm also good, a little bit better. I've been trying to catch up on some things, so I've been trying to catch up on Chunga's new album. Very good. Like the music video for Bicycle. Wonho just dropped his EP.
Ridiculousness.
Second music video. Oh my god, that man. I can't.
He's just rubbing it in all of our faces.
He just knows what he's doing, and I don't know if my heart can take it anymore. I like this song Open-Minded better, but visually, I like this new music video better, this Lost one. So either way, I was still dead by the time I finished watching it.
Yeah.
There's that. I finally watched GOT7's new fan music video Encore, which made me super emotional. Was crying. And then for some reason, after I was done with that, I decided to watch the BTS MTV Unplugged that they did. And so I wouldn't be more emotional, I decided to watch Blue and Gray first after I was already crying after Encore. So then I was just crying more after watching them perform Blue and Gray. And for some reason, every time V was singing, I was crying harder. I can't explain it. It was comforting crying, if that's a thing. But every time he would just sing his parts, I just got more emotional.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need to cry it out.
Yeah.
And then you feel better afterwards.
It was a beautiful performance, and then life goes on, and then to cheer myself up, of course, watch Telepathy and Dynamite. I had to somehow shine my way with a little funk and soul anyway to stop crying.
That pun.
Yep. But it made me better. Other than that, that's pretty much all I've been doing. I'm not watching anything new either. I've just been rewatching The Disastrous Life of Psyche K, because I don't have time to start anything new. It's a great anime if no one's seen that. It's very funny. It's just a lot of dry humor. You would like it, Nafis, if you've never seen it.
I haven't seen it. What's it called?
The Disastrous Life of Psyche K. So he's a psychic, and he has pink hair, and he has these 2 little things on the side of his head to control his psychic powers. And just
it's
watching him
funny.
go through.
I haven't watched it full, but I have liked what I've seen so far. It's really funny.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, just watch him try to survive dealing with a bunch of idiots in his high school and just being smartest person, and this a psychic, so trying to control his powers. But it's cute.
Okay, yeah, I'll look into it.
Yes. So let us go ahead and talk about season 3, the final season of Avatar.
This was such a great season. It's probably my favorite out of all 3.
I think this might be my favorite season as well. I don't know. I go back between this one and season 2. I really liked season 2, but for some reason, I think I can't explain it. This might be my favorite.
No, I get you. This one had a lot going on. More importantly, Zuko's character, the way it transforms, you really see it in this season. So
yes,
so many things are going on. It's great.
So many things are happening.
So much character development.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially when we get towards the end with the big final battle, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, let's get started. And like the other two parts, this one was really hard to actually choose which episodes to talk about because there's so many. Like me and Nafis were saying, like this might be our favorite seasons. What about you, Macy? Do you have a favorite season, or you just like the whole thing?
I do like the whole thing, but I would say that this season it has like, if I had to pick the amount of episodes that I really like, I would say that this one has more. So probably this one as well.
And like, I think it's the way they aired it when I was a kid. It's almost kind of like two parts within like one season because like the first half is kind of different than the second half. So it almost feels like 2 in 1. If that makes sense when you watch it. So the first episode of season 3 that I wrote down called The Awakening. So this picks up after the disaster of Ba Sing Se. I didn't really talk about it that much, but it's like when they revealed Azula was actually there pretending to be the Kyoshi warrior. She infiltrated the kingdom. What else happened? I'm blanking here. I didn't write it down. Oh, yes. There was a part where like they kind of break off and do their own thing. So Katara stayed to try to help the king out with the plans that they found out in the library, the desert one, where they found out about the solar eclipse to try to take an advantage so Aang wouldn't have to fight the Fire Lord. Did they see? Now I can't remember. Did they find out about the comet also in the library or no?
Yes.
They did. Yeah.
I couldn't remember if there was another episode in season 2 where I thought Roku told Aang about the comet.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm getting them confused. I think the solar eclipse is what we find out in the library.
Yes, but I think there's a separate episode that Roku actually told Aang that a comet was coming and it would give the Fire Nation like immense power with their fire bending. Because
Sozin's Comet? Is that what it was called?
Yes, it's called Sozin's Comet because it's named after Sozin, who started the war because he actually used that comet to start the war.
Right.
So, and it comes every 100 years. So they're trying to find a way to stop it because they only have like a couple months or summer. I don't know the timeline of this. So they're just trying to stop it before it comes. And then in the library, they find out about the eclipse to try to stop it before the comet. So yes.
Yeah, he's trying to defeat the Fire Lord before he becomes overpowered.
Yes, and then Sokka left to go find his dad and join his dad to try to help them out.
Yeah. I like the prison episode. That's a fun one where they like escape.
Yeah, I didn't write that one down though. So
that's actually one of my favorite episodes.
Okay, well, sorry, we're not going to talk about it. What else? Toph left to try to go reconnect with her parents, but it ended up being the two guys that her parents hired to like take her back, just capturing her.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And Aang goes back to one of the temples. I think the Eastern Air Temple to try to study with the guru to help him unlock all his chakras so he can go in and out of the avatar state on command and be consciously aware when he's in the avatar state because he's usually not. And then, big fight happened after they found out Azula was there. Trying to find the best way to explain this because like I said, I didn't write this down, so I'm trying to go off memory. Basically, Azula almost kills Aang when he was in the Avatar state.
Yeah. He get like it's like in his back or something. Mm-hmm. Like he goes into the Avatar state and she fires like the blue fire, which is like the most powerful, like straight into his back.
No, she does lightning, not the blue
lightning.
Fire. Her bendings are really just blue flames in general because she's so strong, but she does lightning bending.
Yeah. So he's basically out for the count for a little bit, and they leave us like on a cliffhanger, don't they? Like, is he like we weren't sure if he was okay?
No, Katara brings him back with the water that she got from the northern water tribe from the little oasis that the spirits were in. So
I'm so glad she didn't waste it on Zuko's scar.
Yeah, because she almost wasted it on Zuko's scar, which we all thought was going to happen when they had their little moment until Aang and Iroh found them in the prison that they were in, the crystal prison underneath the palace. So what would have almost been? We almost would have had dead Avatar, but a nice face Zuko in.
What a different world that would be.
It's just the scar is just such part of Zuko. He wouldn't look right if he didn't have it.
Yes, so all that happened. The awakening is basically when Aang wakes up after all of that. This is such a
he has hair.
As we applied. I am so sorry. It's hard for me to like when I don't have my notes prepared to like remember off memory. I'm just sitting here like trying to think and talk at the same time to where I'm not having these long pauses. Mm-hmm. So, excuse me, but I'm gonna go back on my notes. So, and also the Dai Li portrayed Ba Sing Se because they were a big help of helping Zula basically take over the city. Because and then she also goes back and portrays a lot of betrayal. And backstabbing the leader. I guess she promised the leader something, but that didn't happen.
Because Azula does nothing but nobody but herself.
Well, that's all she cares about is just herself. So when Aang wakes up, he finds that he's on a Fire Nation ship, thinking he's been captured, but then he realizes that his friends and everyone are on the ship because they like infiltrated it. Because they thought it would be better to hide in plain sight than like what they used to do. So all that. Zuko, as we mentioned Zuko a couple times, he betrays everyone and teams up with Azula, which allows him to go home. And I think everyone at this time thinks Aang is dead. And Azula also tells the Fire Lord, their father, that Zuko was the one that killed him, which restores his honor. However, in that same episode, you later find out that she does it because for some reason, I think she knew or she had a feeling that Aang wasn't actually dead. So in case, he pops up, who's the blame going to go to? Not her.
Yeah.
She's so smart when it comes to these things and so manipulative. Oh my God.
I know. I'm trying to figure out how because obviously Zuko would have known because Katara, there was a flashback where Katara was showing him the water, but I'm like, well, how did she know though?
I feel like based off of Zuko's body language, I think that's how she figured it out. That
Probably.
There's something up with him. The only reason she's so good at manipulating is because she's able to read people really well.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are always the scariest ones. Mm-hmm. Yes. I also have a note here where I said Zuko long hair and Aang with hair. So that's where we start simping for Zuko more with his long hair. I promise you, something changed when they made him have long hair. Everyone just started simping for Zuko more.
I think I just like guys with long hair, but...
I mean, the long hair works. It just works.
It does work. We find out Toph can metal bend because when she was escaping, the people that were taking her back to her family, and like the last episode of season 2, she ends up metal bending out of the cage that they put her in. Not thinking that she'd be able to escape, but she did because that's my girl Toph, and Toph can do anything.
She can. She totally can.
She totally can. Aang struggles with the whole world, thinking he's dead, feeling that he once again let everyone down. Because when Katara was I know. he goes through so much, only at 12, 13. I think at this point, maybe they all aged a year, I would assume.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They did say that he was gone for 2 months-ish, right? 2 or 3 months?
I think he was in and out for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. So at least 2 or 3 months have passed.
I don't know when their birthdays are. I don't think any of them ever said or gave them birthdays. We've never seen a birthday episode, so.
No.
That's true.
Yeah, and then Zuko isn't as happy as he thought he would be going back home, even though he's got his honor back. His father accepts him again. He's got a girlfriend now. Him and May are together. Because when they were going home, they share a kiss. I was like, when did that happen?
Right.
I really like how the tables are kind of switched here. Zuko got his honor back, but now Aang is trying to restore his honor. I'm like, wow.
Ooh, the feast? I didn't even think about that. Look at you.
Yeah.
I did not put the puzzles together, but that's also that's true. That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Katara also has a heart-to-heart with her dad. So then you realize she never really got over the hurt of their dad leaving to go fight in the war because they have a huge... Not a huge, but kind of, she was icing him for a while every time he would try to talk to.
Yeah, giving him the cold shoulder.
The cold shoulder. Like how teenage girls are sometimes, but then she kind of breaks down, and I think she actually says the part where how can you just leave us like that again? And then we realize she's never over it, which makes sense.
Yeah, even if you're really understanding of what the situation is, you still wish that they don't just get up and leave.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, we've talked about this a lot. They're all children, you know, like she can't be expected to take it like an adult would.
Yeah,
exactly. And I'm sure even some adults wouldn't be able to take that, to be honest. Like, that's your dad. And you already lost your mom at such a young age. So I don't remember how young they were when their dad left. Was it ever clarified how long he was actually gone for?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And if they did, I don't remember.
I don't remember either, even when I was rewatching this. Okay. But it's fine. I don't think we need to. We just know it obviously affects them because they're children. Like we keep whatever the
reiterating.
Word is. Yes, that one. Thank you. And then basically towards there wasn't much to write about this episode. It was just like introduction, where they're at from where they left off. Aang realized that it's better basically to have people think he's gone than alive just because the situation that they're in. So like kind of to symbolize it, because he tries to run away again. Aang has I don't want to say a problem with running away, but he seems to be doing that a lot.
He's scared.
Yeah. Because he I think he has an interaction with the moon spirit, Princess Yue, when he tries to run away on his staff and he gets crashed and he's stuck in the ocean and he feels like he's letting everyone down, and she comes down and comforts him. I don't remember exactly what she says, but that
she says something along the lines that this war is not your fault, so you don't have to take it upon your shoulders to feel guilty of not coming through, basically, along those lines.
Okay. Yeah, and then pushes him off to safety with the ocean, and he burns his staff, which was already broken when he fell in the ocean, and you just see it burn up. He doesn't burn it. He sticks it in, thinking like a hole of lava, like he's on a volcano. He ends up landing on a volcano, so
right.
But
they
symbolizing
all end up meeting up at that volcano, actually.
Yes, I don't remember how they end up finding him though. If it was ever explained how they actually end up finding him.
It didn't. I actually had that question at the end.
Then they just miraculously found him.
Kind of tracker on him or something.
Right.
I don't know. Not a big deal.
It's really fun.
Maybe they got a sign or something. Maybe they did. Maybe they addressed it and we're forgetting. But
it doesn't matter. We're thinking too much into it. Anyway, that's what happens. That was the episode. So, yeah. How did you guys feel with Aang basically coming back? He wasn't dead. Everyone's trying to find out a new strategy. Things like that.
I'm so glad he wasn't dead. But at the same time, I agreed with the rest of the team that it's okay to let him play dead, because they definitely had that advantage if the world thought he was not there.
Yeah, I think it's a blessing in disguise, because they were able to keep that element of surprise, but obviously he got hurt and it made him question himself again. He had to go through another crisis, which isn't good for him, but
aren't we always going through crisis in life?
Yeah. It's pretty big crisis for a 12-year-old
13.
12, 13.
They're also at war though, and he is the Avatar. Big responsibilities. All right. On to the next episode, which I really like this. I'm going to say that for a lot of them. I really like this one, but I know as a kid, this was one of my favorites. So the headband one. So this is the first time, well, mostly since Gathering Around, that the gang realizes better to hide in plain sight than in caves and things like that. So they land in this
So
village.
They didn't realize that in episode 1 when they basically overtook a fire ship?
Listen.
Okay.
I meant hide in plain sight in a village, not out in sea. Please.
Keep going.
Okay. So, and also they split up again. So when they went to go find Aang in the first episode, it was just Aang, Katara, Sokka, and Toph, and their father, and everyone else that was on the boat went somewhere else. I don't know where. Probably the rendezvous of the plan that they had for the eclipse. We just didn't know about, but they split up again, if you remember.
Yeah, the reason why they split had to do with the plan that Sokka had.
Yes, and I'm sure they discussed it further when Aang was unconscious for those 2 months.
Weren't they basically just splitting up to go get reinforcements? We're gonna go grab these guys, and you guys
people. That's right.
Yeah.
So they just split up to gather more people. I think that was the point.
Yes. Well, only they're Sokka and Katara's dad and them. I don't think Aang and them were doing that because they were in Fire Nation Kingdom. So they weren't recruiting people from there. But I'm pretty sure Sokka told his dad of all the people that he needed to go and gather for this. So that was basically his mission until the eclipse. Okay, these are the people. These are our allies. Make sure they're at the rendezvous point. until the day.
Right.
So that's why they split up. Thank you for reminding me, because I was also confused. Like, why did they go their separate ways? So again, but thankfully, thanks to Aang's hair, he was able to hide his arrow that's on his head. So they all went to, I don't know where they were, but they basically steal a bunch of clothes. And one of them had like a little belt. So he ties it around his head, makes it a headband. And then Aang also tries to use 100-year-old slang, which was funny. If you couldn't tell my introduction, he says stuff like flameo and calling people hot men.
Yeah.
Hello, Hotman. Hello, Hotman. Hello, Mrs. Hotman.
It's still funny to this day. I'm like, oh, you're such a dork.
He literally just stands there and greets people. It's like, dude, move on.
Right.
Just staring at him like, hi.
Like, if people weren't looking at you before, they will now.
Yeah, right.
So much hiding
you're
in
not
plain
being
sight.
obvious. You're being too obvious.
Exactly. And so this is also the episode where Zuko visits Iroh in jail. I don't think he's supposed to, but he sneaks off and goes sees him from time to time because they arrested Iroh after the whole thing happened, since he helped Aang and them escape.
You know, I'm actually really glad that Iroh was not taking any of his crap anymore. It was too much. He kept messing up and he kept supporting him. He kept messing up and he kept supporting him. And it like got to the point where like he wouldn't have found his way if Iroh didn't turn his back on him, because it really caused him to question, like, I think that's where it stems from too, where you were saying like he got everything he wanted but he still wasn't happy. But essentially what he wanted was to be like what Iroh wanted him to be. Does that make sense? Like he wanted like a life of peace for him, a life of stability. And like I think internally he knew that, but he couldn't come to accept it because he had all of this other stuff going on.
Well, remember when he released Appa from Lake Laogai, he literally got sick battling between what he wanted.
Yeah.
So like physically ill because he just didn't know.
And I also don't think he realized how important Iroh was to him, because it took him turning his back on Zuko for him to realize, like, actually get those thoughts going. Like, why am I not happy? Why am I doing this? Why is my uncle ignoring me? Well, I mean, he knows why he's ignoring him. He basically turned him in, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think like what Macy said, like either the first season or second season, like Zuko just wanted to be accepted. So like, I think he mostly just saw rage and wasn't really... focus on anything else. All he wanted to do was just go back home, be accepted, because he was just gone for so long. He didn't really feel like he did anything wrong when he got banished or spoke out of term. So he couldn't really see past that. He couldn't see what Iroh was really doing for him, as far as taking care of him, even though helping him find the Avatar. But like when we got to season 2, trying to in a way steer him from that and just try to live a normal life in the Earth Kingdom. But Zuko didn't want that because his main focus was always just like, grab the Avatar, go back home, be accepted.
Find the Avatar and restore my honor.
Exactly. So he couldn't really see past that. And I'm sure Iroh saw him as like basically a son, even after he lost his own son during the war. Like I already knew this war at the point when he lost his son was pointless. So he was just trying to make sure Zuko didn't go down his path.
Oh my gosh, I just realized, like, Iroh didn't get it until he lost his son.
Yes.
And Zuko didn't get it until he lost his uncle, technically.
Literally a pattern. This goddamn dog. This dog. We good?
Good.
Okay.
We're good.
So yes, I mean, it still ended up being a pattern, but I think Iroh was trying to stop that before it got worse, you know? And he definitely didn't want Zuko to end up like the Fire Lord and his dad, so...
I don't think Zuko himself wanted to be like his dad. Like, he was more like his mother.
Yeah. He definitely was, and Azula was like their dad.
A little too much. Actually, I think she surpassed her dad, but that's just my opinion.
No, I think so too, in a certain extent. He still had a lot of authority because he was Fire Lord, so like there's only certain limits she could push.
Yeah.
But to be fair, though, no, I think the Fire Lord was more evil, because I think it was in the last season. Do you remember where they had that episode and they were showing how like he became the Fire Lord? Or was that in season 3?
I don't remember, but the only reason he actually became the Fire Lord, because he's the youngest, because Iroh, you know, is Zuko's uncle, so brother, he's the oldest, so he's technically supposed to be the Fire Lord, but because Iroh lost his son, he didn't want it. That's why I was saying he was over the war and everything. Yeah. So it went to his father. But I think
Was that something season 3 or season 2 though? That episode,
I don't remember, because now that you mention it, there was another plan to where, besides Iroh losing his son, that what's his name, Ozai did something to get the seat.
Exactly. I found that so suspicious.
I think he just convinced his father, who was Fire Lord at the time, that Iroh wasn't fit to be Fire Lord because he just lost his son and he basically didn't take over Ba Sing Se. So I think he was just talking.
Convince the dad, but then the dad was like, "You want me to ignore my eldest son to give you the seat?" And that was the end of the conversation we saw.
Yes. Was that a Zuko alone?
And then the next day he was Fire Lord? Okay. That's not suspicious at all.
I think that was in Zuko alone when he was reflecting on his past. I thought either Zuko or Azula overheard that whole conversation. Yes, because Azula overheard that conversation in Zuko alone because he was supposed to actually kill Zuko, because Azula comes in Zuko's room and be like, "Dad's going to kill you." And she's like, "No, really." And that was a setup that they had. But so Zuko wouldn't be killed. That's why his mom left. She was protecting him.
They don't address that in the show, though. They address that in the manga series.
I think it was implied, like, she left, that's why, but it goes into further detailed in the comic books. Yeah. But when you watch it, you know that's why she left.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, this wouldn't be considered manga. I think
Ozai... No, it's comics. Yeah. And I think Ozai actually tells him in later episodes in season 3, he tells Zuko when he confronts him why his mom left. Because this whole time he thought Zuko thought his mom was dead. We're jumping way ahead, like always. It's all over the place, guys. It's fine. It's all relevant, but still. Yes. So, thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I in this episode itself?
You're talking about when Zuko goes to visit Iroh secretly.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that was it. That was all I wrote for that.
I was just going to mention how I thought that how Iroh basically pretends to be this fragile old man. Like he's willing to like lose quote unquote dignity in order to like he doesn't care what other people think of him. So he's manipulating in a clever way so that he can slowly get stronger and stronger and stronger in order to escape without them suspecting anything. Which I thought was he's just a really clever guy.
Yeah. He's very smart. Don't let
very
that
wise.
Old man fool you.
But unlike others in his family, no shade, he uses his manipulation for good.
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't write down the episode, but like the day of Black Sun when the invasion happened, and he's like, "Oh, it's time I escape," and he rips off his thing, and he's like, "I'm like, Iroh."
Right?
He used like prison time for youth, because there's some times where like Zuko would leave him, and you just see him like bench pressing against the cage that he's in, or like doing curl ups, and he's hanging from the ceiling. You knew he was preparing. He was preparing to escape. So this is funny.
Ultimate quarantine glow up.
Right. I don't think my glow up's gonna come like that after quarantine, but it's fine.
But I'm glad he knew what he needed to do when he went to jail. Like he knew that he needed to break out and all that. So it's good.
Yeah. I think he had a whole plan. I think he knew in advance that Zuko would come around eventually. He knew that he needed to do that. He knew that he needed to be ready for when that happened. I think
Actually, that brings up a good point. Like in the last episode of season 2, like even though Zuko was struggling and he expected him to pick the right choice,
I think he knew
he was going to go back.
He knew he was going to go back.
So I think he had that plan, like you were saying, since then.
Mm-hmm. I think it was necessary for Zuko to go back and realize what he was missing.
Yeah.
Because if he had just made the right decision initially, he would have only wondered, well, maybe I should have gone back. Maybe it would have been better if I had gone back. So I think it was necessary for him to go back and experience what it was like for his uncle to turn on him and get to see more behind the scenes and realize what was going on was really wrong.
I also think that the whole point of Iroh doing that, he just wanted Zuko to make his own decisions, because Zuko was just so used to doing what everyone told him to do and expected him to do, especially of being like royalty. So the whole point of that, even like not being too disappointed when he didn't pick like Aang and them side after that whole battle. He, in the end, just wanted Zuko to realize like it's his life. He needs to make his own choices. So giving him free choice, basically. Freedom of choice.
I just find it funny that like their common enemy is Azula. So even if like Zuko and Aang hate each other, they will come together just to defeat her.
I mean, they end up being friends. There was a couple times even when like Zuko was chasing Aang that like they had kind of like a budding experience. Like when they were fighting General Zhao, and Zuko was pretending to be the Blue Spirit and he rescued Aang.
It's kind of like the Joker and Batman.
Sure.
They're like technically enemies, but then at the same time they're kind of not.
I have no argument against that, so I can't prove you wrong or right. So I have no input.
Isn't Batman always after the Joker? Like he's always chasing him out.
But I don't see the Joker as a good person. Okay, can we get back to Avatar? I have tons of notes still, and we're on a time frame. Season 3, we're still on the headband. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, the headband. We'd moved on.
No, we didn't. I didn't even get to my main points of the episode. We've been talking about Zuko. Anyway, so Aang later finds out the city that they're in, that the costume that he steals is a school uniform. So like when he's greeting those people wearing the feast I think talked about earlier, where he's just standing in the middle of the street, like just saying good, like hot men or whatever, two guards or like teachers, I don't know what they were. Anyway, they're like, hey, why are you out of school? So he ends up actually going to school basically for the first time, right?
Yeah.
So learn about how school works, especially in the Fire Nation, seeing how the Fire Nation kids interact with each other. This was my main point of just seeing how the war affects everyone. So like the kids didn't really have a sense of enjoyment.
I thought it was funny how it's not funny in a way, because it's very true of like our society, how like their textbooks are written to make the Fire Nation seem a certain way, just like ours are.
Yes,
to make America seem a certain way.
Yep, that was.
And he was there, so he's like correcting the teacher on things that are wrong in the books. I thought that was very introspective of them.
I love the comment she made too. She's like, "How do you know that's not true? Were you there?" Actually.
Yes, y'all are getting ahead to my next bulletin point, because I was saying, as it
sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. As Aang learns about how they're teaching the Fire Nation kids, he gets into it with the teacher during history class when she asks what year Fire Lord. I put Fire Lord Ozai, but now I don't know if it was a different Fire Lord. Isn't Ozai the original, or not the original, the current Fire Lord?
He's the current one, yeah.
Maybe I mixed up my names for Fire Lords, but one of the Fire Lords battled the Air Nomads, and then Aang sends up, he's like, is this a trick question? Because the Air Nomads didn't have a military, because they were monks, so they were basically ambushed. And then she, like Nafis was saying, she's like, well, how do you know more than our textbooks? And it's like, well, I mean, do we even know the textbooks are telling the truth? And that's not even just with America. I feel like, I'm sure that's with other countries. I can't speak.
I think it's America. Everywhere.
Yeah. The victors are always going to write in their favor. So they're never going to tell all the truly horrific stuff that's happened. That makes me think of like it's still month of February and it's like Black History Month, but like I feel like there's like 90% of stuff about slavery that we're just not taught. That was just 10 times worse than what we believe it was. So just things like that. And then like it was creepy, like with the national oath, remind me of like my days of like standing up for the national anthem. I'm like, this isn't right. It's a little creepy. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. It just showed you a lot of things. And then like in music class when Aang was like dancing and the kids didn't know what he was doing, they're like, why are you moving your feet to the song? He's like, I'm dancing. Don't you guys do that? And they're like, no, we're not allowed to move.
We're not allowed to move.
No, just sit here and play. But then that leads to like him throwing a secret cave party and letting the kids let loose. That's also my favorite scene when like Aang and Katara are dancing. I thought that's so cute.
That was
I liked that one a lot.
Yes, and then we end the episode with Zuko sending an assassin to Aang because he's like, I know that Avatar's alive. I want you to find him. and end him.
Oh yeah, that guy. Or wait, is it the lady on the
Boom Man?
Sparky Boom Man.
Sparky. Oh yes, okay.
It's a guy.
I was getting
I don't know what he's actually doing, but like something from his forehead.
Shooting fire from his forehead.
Is it fire?
I was getting my assassins mixed up because isn't there a lady on like a sniffy monster as well? Do you guys remember that?
Yeah,
or is that
way? Two. She's not really an assassin though. She just does whatever for money.
She's like a tracker, isn't she?
Yeah.
Okay, I was getting them confused, but yes, Sparky Boom Man with the forehead laser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forehead laser.
What a sentence! I didn't think I was going to say that sentence today.
I don't know. We said a lot of things we didn't think we were going to. Anyway, that was the headband after like 50 minutes of distraction. So on to an episode that I think is very important, which is the Avatar and the Fire Lord. And I always like recap episodes. I think that's why a lot of my favorite episodes are ones where it like tells you how this happened. Like
you mean like flashback episodes?
Yes, flashback showing the cause and effect. Things of that way. So, like, I think in a dream, Roku comes to Aang's, like, meet me at my home island, which is, like, buried now because of Volcano, which you'll find out later in that same episode. So he can teach Aang the history about Roku's life when he was the Avatar and how the war basically started. And that's basically the same thing that Zuko does. He gets, like, this mysterious letter in his room talking about if you want to learn more about your grandfather, which he assumes at the time is Sozin, go to the chambers and read like the documents about it, things like that. So you actually find out that Sozin and Roku were childhood best friends, and they even shared a birthday. And you see how their lives changed when Roku was revealed as the Avatar, and Sozin basically became obsessed with power after he became Fire Lord. Yeah, just power and conquer. It hit him. The thirst. You see how short of time Aang really had to train compared to Roku, because Roku had 12 years of like learning all the elements.
Right.
So you basically see his life of like when he's training, like water bending, earth, all that, air, and then Roku also knew Monkey Gyatso, I think. Gyatso was like a child because he trained at the Southern Air Temple where Aang is from. Earlier, Sozin shows signs of imperialism at Roku's wedding when he starts talking about wanting to share the peaceful and wonderful culture of the Fire Nation to the other nations. So when Sozin kind of pulls him aside and starts talking about, why aren't we sharing our culture with the others? We should be expanding. That's when you kind of look like, something's not right here. What's going on? Like, we shared enough. We're good. I don't think he realized the extent he meant of sharing the culture with others. So their friendship basically ends when Roku confronts Sozin because he ends up finding out he colonized an Earth Kingdom and he saw the fire banner over the Earth Kingdom. And so after that, they didn't see each other for like 20 years. Because I'm assuming when that encounter happened, they were like in their 40s maybe. They seemed like old men. They were graying a little bit. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Didn't see each other for 20 years. Like I said earlier, Roku lived on an island with an active volcano. Why would you want to live on an island for an active volcano? I don't know, but they did. Anyway, one night when they were sleeping, it erupts, and he basically uses up all his energy to try to stop the fire, even though the people that lived on the island escaped. Like, I guess he was trying to make sure they escaped, but he was also trying to stop it at the same time, which I didn't get. But Sozin was nearby, and he tries to come and helps him. And then when they realize it was too much, they try to run away, but then Roku ends up getting blasted with nauseous gas. And when he's literally like on his knees trying to beg Sozin to help him, Sozin's like, without you in the way, my plans can basically happen. So he just leaves him there.
He basically pulls a Scar. Brother.
Just not pushing him off a mountain. He just leaves him there to die.
He just lets him go, though. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Scar, he just lets him go. He doesn't push him.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I don't think he intended to, kill him,
No,
though.
I think it was a seized opportunity.
Yeah.
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 But
he didn't do anything. He just left him there to die because he knew he was going to die off the poison gas. So, because then you see Roku's like dragon come and wrap himself around him to be with
That's
him.
a sad moment.
That was sad. And it's like when your pets
like
go
those
to you
pet-
and you know, yeah, when you're upset.
Yeah, or like, you know, stories of like dogs who will wait for their owners that have passed. Like, that feels.
So, with all that being said, do you guys think Roku should have escaped with his family instead of trying to battle the volcano? Yes, that's my answer.
Yeah, right?
How did you feel
Was
about
it just him and his family on the volcano, or was there a whole village?
It was a whole village. But
and I think he did the right thing.
But trying to save the village himself?
I think he was trying to save the island from being destroyed. Was that it?
Or I think so. Because everyone
I think
was
I
watching him from the boats.
Yeah, I think I would have cut my losses and left.
Yeah.
I would have too.
Like, as long as the people are safe, that's all that really matters.
Exactly.
That's how I feel as well.
The people didn't make it out, right?
No, all the people escaped thanks to him. But
was it maybe like if it went in the water, it was going to cause something to them? Like they weren't far away enough?
I have no idea. I really don't know. I don't know.
I'd have to rewatch it because there's got to be another reason than him just trying to like protect their house. Like that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. I thought they were far away enough though that like if it kept erupting, like even things like debris, if it came their way, they were far away enough. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I think once you're in the water, you would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But like you guys were saying, I think he should have cut his losses and just left once everybody left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go be with your wife, man. It's okay. Everyone's safe. How did you guys feel about Sozin and Roku's friendship basically falling apart?
The
like,
ultimate
from the start
betrayal.
From the start to the fallout. And again, when Sozin left Roku to die so he wouldn't get in the way of his plans of world domination.
I think that shows that the Fire Lord really is just pure evil, because like at that point you can want power and all these things, but when you're faced with like this, that your best friend in life and you're willing to let them die, like you would think that he would have a moment of realization, like, whoa, what am I doing? You know? Yeah. So the fact that he doesn't come to that conclusion just proves to me that he like is just evil.
Yeah, because Aang even says, like, when he comes out of it and tells the gang, he says this, he thought what Roku was basically showing him was, no matter, like, who you are, like, how you grew up or from your past, people can always be a product of either great evil or great goodness, and just, like, basically friendship just in general, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all love a redemption story, but the Fire King is not going to get one.
He didn't have one. He started a war.
Nope. Didn't have one. Like he wasn't going to change. He wasn't capable of change, which just proves it in that moment.
Yeah, that not everyone, no matter who you are, or like, not everyone can change, basically. Would you want to feel like they can? And also depends on like the type of environment they're in.
Well, everyone can change. But people are capable
they have
of choosing
their own choice.
not to do that.
You have to want to. Yeah.
Even if they see the benefits of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
Which makes it worse that you're making a conscious decision to be evil.
Yeah. That makes it much worse. Yeah.
But everyone, I don't know. Because like even just the definition of like good and evil is like very, I mean, to a certain extent, let's not get like, let's not try to pass a lot of stuff that's like unacceptable as like, oh, it's okay. No, it's not. I'm not going to name the things. But we all know a couple that comes into our mind. But, like, everyone's morals is just so different. So that's basically what I'm trying to say. Like, knowing your moral compass and where it teeters. And how it affects not only you, but just, like, your environment and everyone else in the world. Some people's moral compass is way off, like the Fire Lords. Like Zozin's. But it's tricky. It's a tricky slope.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I think the Fire Lord did have a moral compass. But it's also really easy to blur those lines and to start making things okay, like to start rationalizing it, which is what he ended up doing. But then it took Roku, who left that environment, to come back and say, like, no, this is not okay. What are you thinking?
I wonder if that's also like a product of like being exposed to different environments. Because as you were saying, Nafis, and that just made me thinking, because Roku had a chance to go, around the world to learn the other elements, but not only just learn the other elements, he learned about different cultures, he learned about the different people, so he was able to see the world in like a bigger sense. Whereas Sozin, only grew up in the Fire Nation. I'm not sure if he really traveled much, but like he just knew his environment, and like of course he was training to be like the king of like the whole Fire Nation, but he didn't really go anywhere else. So I wonder if that was also a factor of like your moral compass.
Definitely. I feel like it's the whole nature versus nurture argument, because he was raised in an environment that only promoted this idea of him becoming king and taking over all other people. He doesn't really know anything else. So I guess to some degree, he can't be blamed completely. However, as a human, I think it's a natural thing to see that you're hurting someone. Like it doesn't have to be taught. Mm-hmm. You can tell that you're causing pain to others. Yeah. So that's where the nature comes in, where it's like, okay, yes, I've been taught that this is the way we do things, but I can physically see that this person is in pain and I'm going to continue to do so. And that's where the choice comes in.
But I also feel like it can come into like where you're taught to whether, yes, the nature will kick in, but I feel like in certain ways, the way you're taught is whether your level of caring, if that makes sense. If you try to understand what I'm saying, like you're taught to know, like,
yeah, but I feel
not
like
where to put your. How do I explain this? I had it, and then I lost it.
I think I kind of understand what you're saying. But at the same time, I think that there are people who, even if they're raised in the worst circumstances, they like can get out of it versus other people. So like, I don't know. Yes, like Zuko. I feel like he was raised in that environment, but it really depends on who you are as a person. Because like no matter what you're put through, if you're like personality doesn't like he's got to have the base personality to be able to go through with these things, even with his environment. Because if you put somebody who is just like their personality doesn't fit with that, no matter how you raise them, they could have this opportunity to turn it around, like Zuko. So.
Not even just that, and like a real life thing. Like if you've seen like so many crime shows, like I know sometimes my dad watched a lot of crime shows. You could see people who had like the perfect life, 2-family home, like bunch of money, and still end up being like the worst humans possible. So it really almost in a sense doesn't really matter like, even how you're raised.
I feel like you're born as a sociopath, and whether you're raised right or wrong can influence that. But at the end of the day, you're still a sociopath. So.
Right. It can influence if you go on those tendencies or not.
Yes.
Yeah, like I actually just thought of this. Zuko's grandparents were both avatars, right?
Yes, I forgot to mention that also. So like, because after that, Zuko's like, what is this? I already knew this whole history. And then Iroh's, because he goes to Iroh after he reads it. He's like, no, you weren't. So he's like, Sozin was your grandfather on your father's side, but Avatar Roku was actually your grandfather on your mother's side. So it was just another story. Iroh was trying to show him like the battle that Zuko is having between good and evil, what to do, like right and wrong, and like what to do. Started way back then, that whole conflict. So trying to just reinforce it.
Yeah. Before it was in two separate people, now it's within the same person.
Yeah, but what were you going to say about that? Or did I just basically clarify it for you?
I don't know. That's what I wanted to say. How like it was like the polar opposites. Like him was good, Roku was good, and then what was the other one? Sozin was bad, but now like within Zuko, like he has both of those elements, and he just has to pick which one he wants to go with.
Whichever one won't bring him too much internal strife.
Right.
Real quick before I get on my last two, we're almost done. I just want to quickly shout out, because we mentioned this in season 2 episode, so I want to bring up the beach episode. I didn't take like notes, but I just briefly summarize where we see Zuko, Azula, May, and Tylee kind of go off to this island called Ember Island, where Zuko and Azula used to go to when they were children as like a summer getaway. And they basically try to act like normal teenagers, because Ember Island's kind of one of those places where like they're in the Fire Nation, but they don't really like know what's going on. Like they do and they don't. So I don't think they know what Zuko and Azula really look like to know the royalty. So they try to just like act like normal teenagers. And you see like when they meet these guys on the beach and try to go to this party and all that. I like that episode.
Right. This is Yeah, I feel like this is the only time we really see any humanity in Azula.
Yeah,
because she's like awkward and like trying to like talk to people and it's not working.
More importantly, she actually admits that she was jealous of Ty Lee.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an Azula thing to do.
No.
To admit weakness.
Yeah, and all the attention she gets, so especially from the guys, because she tries to get Ty Lee to help her like flirt.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
Yeah, so this is the only point at any point that I slightly feel bad for her and like want her to redeem herself.
Another thing that she mentions when they're talking like around the campfire is how like, forgot what she mentions, but she says something about her mother and how she always thinks she's evil.
I have written down, so like Zuko basically, because they all start talking about like their problems or like start bickering. So Zuko was the one who talks about like how he's angry with, they ask him why he's always angry. And then when he's like gets frustrated with the questions, he ends up blowing up like the fire and say like he's angry with himself. And he just doesn't know why, because he's going through an identity crisis. Like we keep mentioning, he thought he would be happy once his father accepted him. And then he realized he wasn't. So now he's like, why am I just so mad? I thought what I was initially mad at and finally getting it would make me happy, but it doesn't. So there's that. Ty Lee admits like why she ran away from the circus and why she always like, because you know they always saying like she's an attention seeker and stuff like that. And then she mentions how she has, I don't remember the exact number, I know it's a lot, I think she has 6 sisters, but they all look exactly like each other. I don't think any of them are like, what is the word for like, what is it, sextuplet? I don't think
sextuplets, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I just think they all look alike or very similar. So, like, she also had her own identity crisis of just, like, being basically blending in with everybody else. And then May reveals, like, her lack of emotions is due to, like, being expected of being the perfect child. And, like, if she was good, she would just be rewarded with gifts or just been left alone. So that's why she's always obedient. And Azula just briefly mentioned so like how her mom saw her as a monster. And she's like, you know, she was right, but it still hurts. That's what she said with the fire.
Yeah. I wonder, do you think she would have turned out differently if her mother did not see her that way?
No.
I would say yes and no. I think, like I said, some people are just born psychopaths and you can't change that depending on their environment. However, if there is a sliver of good, but you don't give them the opportunity to act on it, then, you know, they're not as, you can't blame them as much because they were from the start, they were made to feel like they were going to be this way and they couldn't change it. So I would say a little bit of both. I still think she would have leaned towards her father and like wanted to go down that path, but maybe not has been as bad if her mother gave her the opportunity to be good.
Especially all the praise she gets from her father.
Yeah, that actually brings up an interesting point too, because you know how we were talking about like, oh, Zuko has to choose between good and evil. Well, the only difference between him and Azula, honestly, is whether like who had her mother's affection. Like he had his mother's affection, Azula did not. And I think that is like the key difference between both of them turning out the way they did.
But Azula had her father's affection and Zuko did not.
That's true.
Because Azula was always seen as the perfect child. Like she picked up on the lessons that they did really easily. She was able to firebend with a blue fire really quickly. Even I think lightning bend at an early age. So she was already seen as a prodigy child and praised by like her father and like all the generals around her. So that's why I'm sure that's why she got like such a big head.
That's why she leaned towards her dad more though. Because she got that affection. And Zuko more so towards his mother because she was softer towards him. But I'm wondering if like they both had like affection from both mom and dad. I wonder which way both of them would have gone.
I don't know. And I'm sure it affected Zuko more because he was the oldest child, so they expected him to pick up the things Azula was picking up, not only being the youngest sibling, but like a girl is that. I mean, let's be honest. So I'm sure,
If anything, at least he was not sexist.
There you go. At least he wasn't misogynistic.
Right?
Yeah.
Were you talking about Zuko or the Fire Lord?
Fire Lord.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. That's true, though. That is very true. Macy, were you going to say something?
I I think I was just going to say that, like, we're kind of past it at this point, but just that I think his mother, she may not have been the perfect parent, but she saw the daughter getting all of the love and affection from everyone else. And I think she felt bad for Zuko and tended to like nurture him based on that. But that may have not been, you know, nobody's perfect at parenting. So that may have been, maybe she regrets that choice, but I think he needed it more than Azula did.
That's true.
On some level.
Lord already tried to kill him like twice, so...
Actually, I would argue that she needed it more. But that's addressed in a later episode, though, towards the end.
But if his mother hadn't been there for him, he wouldn't have had anybody.
That's true.
So, like,
that's true.
He probably would have been so sad. Like, I don't think he would have, I don't know, if he had nobody to support him.
That's a good point.
Or again, not here, because like I said, there was a flashback where Ozai was trying to make a deal with his father to get him to be Fire Lord. And I just remember there's something about like, oh, Iroh had to sacrifice his firstborn son, so like now you have to sacrifice your firstborn son. So Zuko might not even been around, honestly, if he wasn't for his mother.
That's true.
He just would not have been here.
But I didn't understand that though. Why did her leaving
She did something. Like, she lied and said something. I don't remember what though that saved him. It's escaping me, and I don't remember if they said it in the show or if it's in the comics. Because like I said, I have the comics, so I have the one where they go look for her. But something she either did or said was to where she ended up getting banished and saving Zuko's life, regardless.
Did she say something along the lines that he's not his son or something? Was it that?
I don't think she lied like that. Oh, wait, no, I don't think so.
It was something big, though.
Yeah, it must have been in order to save his life. I can't remember either.
To, like, leave him alone.
I really don't remember, guys. It's a mystery. Maybe I'll go back and read and spoil that. I don't know. I was trying to stick to like the show and not spoil the comics, but anyway. And also just real quick shout out Nightmares and Daydreams, because I just really liked that episode as a kid. I don't know why I enjoyed watching Anne freak out from the lack of sleep. All the hallucinations. I remember this one hallucination that got really big where like Appa and Momo started talking, and then they ended up like fighting, and the sheep are just like watching this sword battle. It was like, what? What's going on?
That was definitely a relief episode.
It was before we got into the intense battle. Yes. So on to the Western Air Temple. So this is after the failure of the invasion of Black Sun, because when Azula infiltrated the Earth Kingdom as a Kyoshi warrior, we find out that the king basically told the whole invasion plan thinking they were Kyoshi warriors.
Freaking Azula. Ruining everything.
Yeah, no one actually knew that they already knew their plan, so...
Freaking king. Like, why did you...
He didn't know that was Azula.
He should have been more discreet. This dude, I'm glad he went to travel the world. He had no business being king.
It was already established he was just a puppet.
Yeah. He could have been a smarter puppet, but anyway.
That defeats the purpose of a puppet if he was smart, right?
I was going to say something, but I'm not going to.
Let's move on. Let me see what we're going to say real quick. It's not
I was just going to say... that basically they fight and like people get hurt and they lose all their resources to find out that the king's not even there. So
he means the Fire Lord.
Yeah,
he's not there. He's in a secret chamber. And then that's where Zuko and the Fire Lord himself kind of have their like
battle.
Not battle, but just like talk, like confrontation.
Confrontation, yeah.
Yes, because since neither of them can bend, Zuko was able to talk to him and tell him how he's leaving. At first he said he was going to go free Iroh, then not realizing Iroh basically freed himself, but then like go join the Avatar and try to teach him firebending to defeat him. So, and then that's when he tells him the whole thing about his mom. So,
do you remember in the last season where Iroh taught him a move to redirect lightning?
Yeah.
That was so powerful when he actually redirected the lightning away from him and just escaped. I'm like, wow, there you go.
I am able to put it to use.
Put it to use.
Yes. So, and then at the end of that, because they had to escape since their plan was ruined, Aang and the gang and some of the kids with them basically escape to the Western Air Temple while all the adults stay to get arrested. So they got separated once again. And then, like, what's their dad's name? It's Hakoda, right? Hakoda?
Yeah, Hakoda.
Either Koda or Hakoda, something like that.
Yeah, gets arrested with everybody else. When they land there, the team talks with Aang, basically telling him that they need a firebender teacher. And they're like, who are we going to go? Are we going to go find Jong Jong again? And Aang's like, yeah, like, wherever we're going to run is a Jong Jong again. That's the first guy that tried to teach him. And then he ended up learning Katara. That was in season 1. But yeah. And then Toph's like, oh, I don't think we need to look far. And then, like, Appa moves out the way and Zuko awkwardly is like, hello, Zuko here. It's like, oh, Zuko. It's okay.
It's so cute seeing him try to, like, get them to, like, let him do that.
He's just so socially awkward.
Yeah.
And then that's where everything basically goes wrong, where they're like, why should we have you be the fire teacher after you tried to hunt us down for like a year, tried to kill us how many times? And he accidentally reveals that he sent the assassin to them. And they're like, so you're the
I think that's what really ticked them off. They're like, you sent him? Oh gosh.
And then doesn't he show up?
He does show up, yeah.
Yeah, he does show up, and Zuko tries, but he doesn't really do anything to help. He almost pushes them off the mountain.
Yeah, he won't listen to him.
Didn't he save them from him? I thought he did.
No, the thing that saves him is basically Sokka's boomerang, surprisingly. It hits him in the head, and he gets confused, and he ends up blowing himself up. So, well, not...
Sokka for the win.
Yeah. I don't think he died, though, because, spoiler, not spoiler, there's another person in Korra that ends up having his same power.
Ability, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that's, like, a relative, so he didn't technically die, I guess.
Do we get any clarification on, like, what exactly he is?
I don't know.
Because what kind of bending is that? Or is he just, like, some random superhuman in this universe?
Advanced bending. Basically.
Yeah. Mind bending.
Ooh, that's scary.
He shoots a laser from his... I don't even know if that thing he shoots the laser from is part of him. That's a part of him, right? Like his...
Right. Like, is it fire bending? Like, what? I guess that would be... That's the only bending...
What do you mean part of him?
Like, it's not a gem, like, they put on him, like, it's actually part of his body. Like, he was maybe born with or something. That's what I mean by part of him.
Yeah.
The thing that... yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think it is a part of him, yeah.
I don't know. But, I mean, the only...
It has to be a part of him if you hit it, like, it affects other things. It's got to be connected somehow.
No, it is a part of him because whenever they hit it, his ability just goes away. So that is...
That's what I mean, yeah.
Neurologically connected.
I don't know. And anyway...
I don't know. He's a random like stone thrown in there because he doesn't really make sense for the universe.
And Korra, yes, and I mean maybe that just shows the advancement of the Fire Nation. I don't know.
I guess
mutation as well as technology.
Yeah. Would you consider it firebending then? Because it's like heat.
Yeah, because once he shoots something, it blows up in fire. It's just so like
what
is it? Defeats the purpose of speed and light or whatever. Defies all logic.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, before all that, Zuko also goes through a crisis of like why they won't accept him. I thought it was funny when he was pretending to be Iroh and like Azula. Like, what would Azula do? He would like imitate her. He's like, what would Uncle Iroh say? And so far, the only person that was like almost kind of on his team was Toph, because, you know, they didn't really have the same interaction like the rest of the gang did. Until he burns her feet. But like she knew it was an accident. She even tries to tell him that. And then like the only one who likes him was Appa because he was the only one licking it because he remembered he saved him. But
I love how butthurt Katara was when he showed up.
Oh my gosh, she like ripped him a new one towards the end of the episode. Like, let's get one thing straight if you portray us one more time. I'm like, okay girl. No more soft sweet Katara.
No, she was still mad that he deceived. Like, he deceived her, kind of.
100%.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I was going to basically save you, and you betray us. She held that grudge for a while.
We bonded over our missing mothers.
Yeah. Right?
Would you have guys forgiven Zuko?
I think I would have been Katara, honestly, in that situation.
You have such a dark side I didn't realize you had, Nafis.
Huh?
I said, you have such a dark side I didn't realize you had.
I don't know. It's hard for me to not get into this whole situation. That's a conversation for another day. But I don't know. With deceit and things like that, it's hard for me to forgive that. So, like, I don't know. If you show, like, a sincere effort to change your ways, then sure, we can get along. But, like, it's going to be guarded.
Yeah. How about you, Macy? I feel like you would have been like Aang and forgave him, right? Or no?
Yeah, I would have forgiven him. But I also don't think it's a bad thing to protect yourself on some level from future hurt. Like, obviously I've had people who, you know, like I want to trust and they just continue to portray bad behavior. So like, I think I would have forgiven him, but at the same time been a little bit guarded. Like, yes, I'm going to let you back in, but if you do this again, like, okay, it's over. Like, don't,
everyone was pretty much like that.
Do you think they would have forgiven him that quickly, though? If they weren't desperate for a teacher? I think they would have stretched that out a little longer.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think they would have had him prove himself more if it wasn't like, okay, like we just need to put our...
This poor dude always proving himself.
Yeah, well, like we need to put our differences aside for the greater good. I think that's ultimately what it was. Yeah. And I think Aang as a, like, what would you consider him?
Probably.
Like a libertarian? Yeah. Like,
I mean, he's a monk, so...
A monk, he's all about forgiveness and acceptance. So that I think it would be against his core values to not give him another chance.
Yeah. And he always, I think he always, even from the beginning, like I said, when he found out Zuko was the blue spirit and like rescued him, because he mentions that when he left, like he always saw the good in Zuko and he was just trying to wait for it to come out. So he always had a sliver of hope that he would come around. All right. So sadly, we're on the last one. This is the last one that I had to fight which one we wanted to talk about because I couldn't do Sozin's comment. We would have taken a whole nother hour just talking about the finale. So I had to just pick one episode. Yeah. So on to the Firebending Masters, and I really, really love this episode.
I love
this one. Actually, might be my favorite of the whole
much.
season. I always said the headband might have been, but I think this one tops that. So this is where after Zuko joins them, he loses his firebending ability. I mean, not really, but his fire is just like really, really weak when he bends. I mentioned this like I think in either season 1 or 2, but this is where Toph recommends that Zuko goes back and learn the origin of firebending, because this is when she talks about how she got lost one day. She ran away, and that's how she learned bending through the badger moles, because they both found out that they're all blind. So they taught her how to feel the earth and the vibration. And then Zuko reveals that the first firebenders were the dragons, but Sozin basically went and hunted them all down and killed them, kind of like as a sport, I think. I don't know if his intentions of Sozin's intentions of killing the dragons were ever revealed. Like, I don't know why he killed them all.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know if that was ever explained.
I don't know if it's more of like a poaching thing or if it was because they were too powerful. I'm not sure.
It was poaching, but like why? I don't know. Anyway, but besides the dragons, he says that he mentions the Sun Warriors, who are the first people in civilization to learn from the dragons, and from our little culture thing that we did in season 1, we learned the Sun Warriors are based off like the Mayans and the Aztec people.
Yeah.
Yes. And they're also supposedly extinct, but their village is near where the gang actually is. So adventure time for Aang and Zuko.
Yay!
So they go to the civilization, looking around, set off a few traps. They find a temple that has statues where they learn something called the Dragon Dance. And doing so, it reveals a gem, and they set off a huge booby trap, which now that I'm thinking, was that gem an actual dragon egg?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, Zuko picks it up that sets off the trap, and he's like, it feels alive. And once, obviously, we find out later in the episode,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it now, like, there are 2 dragons left. I'm like, so was that an actual dragon egg they were protecting?
Maybe.
Could be.
That's a good...
I think so.
I think that's a good guess, you know? I think that's probably the most likely scenario.
Yeah. Well, after the trap sets off, they later find out that the Sun Warriors are still alive, like the people, the civilization still exists. When Zuko tells them that they're there to learn the true essence and history of firebending, they put them through a test where they have to take a fire that's been burning for like 1,000 years to the masters, where the masters have to like test them and see if they're worthy or not. And then when they obviously meet the masters, they found out they're dragons, the last 2 dragons alive. And this part I really like, when they start doing the dragon dance with them, because they accidentally blew out the fire. And the theme song, the theme song.
That was such a cool moment.
That was a cool moment, I think.
It was such a surreal, such a cool moment. Especially when Zuko realized that his uncle was not evil, that he actually saved and protected those dragons. It was a good moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was. But I also like the part how, like, when they're doing the dance, like, the red dragon was, like, with Zuko and the blue dragon was Aang. And the theme song, the chanting theme song.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite.
It was really funny when they came back and showed them the game.
Yes, like, what are you doing?
So they're like, so you basically went to dance.
Because those are also the same dragons that were in Zuko's dream. Remember how I talked about he got sick? And he was having, like, hallucinations? Did you guys notice that those are the same 2 dragons, like, talking to him about, like, which side to pick?
I didn't remember that, no.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. One had, like, the voice of, I think, Azula, and the other had the voice of his uncle. I think the red one was Azula, and the blue one was Iroh. But yeah, same dragons. And then after the masters show their fire with many different colors, because that's how they do, they pass the test. Like, they're basically engulfed in, like, a tornado of fire. But it didn't touch them, and they saw, like, a bunch of colors. Zuko realized the true meaning, how he always thought, hang on, I'm mixing my stuff up. Aang expresses how he always thought it was destruction, especially after he heard Katara. Then he realized how beautiful it is, and how it's like a source of energy and life itself. And Zuko says it's like the sun, but inside you. And then that's when the chief's like, well, yeah, that's why we're called the Sun Warriors. When he's like, did you guys know that? He's like, yeah, why do you think we're called the Sun Warriors? I thought that was so funny.
Oh my god.
But he also realized that his fire became weak because his drive for so long was to hunt the Avatar. So when he joined them, he lost his drive and purpose. But now he has a new drive to help Aang. And then his fire bending comes back.
Yay!
Redemption story confirmed.
Well, not
or
really
completed, or
it's just
whatever.
confirmed that it's happening.
Not completed, but
yes. So how do we feel about all that?
It just shows that he's like for sure 100% in it for like Team Aang and Team Good.
And he's not going to turn his back.
Yeah, because if he wasn't, that dragon was going to kill him.
So I think after that point, Aang trusts him a lot more as well. Back to your whole, would he forgive him? I think that is a great moment of trust.
I would agree. I would also agree. What did you guys think about the fire is light thing and energy that he says?
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know if we were going to get deeper than that, but it's fine.
I don't know.
No, the thing is, like, fire is like a double-edged sword, kind of. Like, you can use it for harm, and you can use it for good. When you use it for good, it gives life, it gives energy, warmth. So I agree with that statement.
Yes, because like he said, without the sun, we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was my last one, but also, again, I wanted to shout out because, like I said, it was kind of separated, the episodes. So, like, Aang with hair, Aang without hair. That's how I said it in my head. But shout out real quick to the Puppet Master where Katara learns blood bending because, like Nafis pointed out, that was a creepy.
Oh my gosh, she's creepy.
I think I've mentioned this before, but that was like the creepiest episode ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't go back and rewatch it, but I remember we were confused about why. Because I was listening back to season 1 and Macy was talking about her theory of like killing the waterbenders, but they didn't actually kill them to, find the next Avatar. So when they captured all the waterbenders in the Southern Water Tribe, that was around their grandma's time. So I think their grandma was like either a teen or young adult. the woman they meet, Hama, is the same age as them.
Right.
So that's when they took them all. And then the next waterbender obviously wasn't until Katara was born.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes a difference, but...
Right. I think it was more, like, going back to my whole theory, I think they were just trying to, like, first of all, find the Avatar. So, like, the first step of that is to capture everybody with the ability to bend. And then also just to have power over them. You know, like, if all the benders are gone, they can't fight back. And the people left in the villages just have to accept that we're now going to rule them.
That's true. Okay. I didn't think about that. But yeah. Just wanted to shout that out real quick. Also, the Ember Islands. I always love a good parody within a parody. You remember that? The Ember Island players? That's when they go watch the stage play of, like, Aang's adventure. And, like, Aang's played by a woman. Toph's, like, this ginormous, burly guy.
That was funny. He's like, I don't look like that.
It's like, I'm not that cheery. And then Katara was like, I'm not always crying. Why am I always crying?
And I think they represented Toph as a man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they did. It's like a big, burly man. But she was enjoying it.
I think what really hit them, though, was the ending.
Yeah, she like
the Fire Nation one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
because they're like, oh, it's all caught up to the present. They're like, no, it's not over yet.
Yeah. And I think that's when their resolve got stronger too. They're like, no, we need to do this right.
Yeah. And then I also mentioned Sozin's comment because, like I said, that would have been like a whole other episode of just deciphering the series finale.
I just think it's the way that I expected the ending to go did not go. It actually went in a much better manner. Like, you know how we expected, like, Aang and the Fire Lord to have, like, this one-on-one battle, which they kind of did.
I mean, they did. Not kind of. They did.
But I think the way he defeated him was really clever. Like, he just took his bending away.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't hurt anybody else. Like, I think that was... that showed who he was, like, how he is peaceful enough to not kill him. And then at the same time, getting the work done. Like, he literally isn't useless now. Because it was his firebending that could cause, like, you know, harm.
Yeah, it took, like, the one thing that Ozai had prided himself of, like, his power, basically. Like, I think that was worse than just killing him. So, it was definitely more impactful,
for sure.
I think.
Take away a person's dignity.
Yes, and pride. Yeah. So there's that. Everything's saved. Zuko becomes a new Fire Lord. I mean, we also didn't mention, like, Azula's crisis, because before all that happened, she was supposed to be the Fire Lord, and then she was, like, firing everybody. That's when she had her meltdown.
Yeah. And she saw her mother, too, right? I think, in the mirror?
Like, during her meltdown, she was, like, having visions of her, and, like, her mom was, like, telling her, like, all her thoughts of her was wrong. Like, she thought her mom saw her as a monster, but her mom was like, no, I loved you this whole time. And then, like, yeah, she breaks the mirror.
Yeah.
And what else happened? Oh, and then, like, I remember first time watching Zuko and Iroh come back together when they found them with, like, the White Lotus, that we found out was, like, a whole secret organization with, like, Sokka's master, King Boomy.
Yeah.
I think Jong was part of it too, yeah. But just they're reuniting and like, Iroh telling him, that it was okay, and then Zuko breaking down. I definitely cried as a kid. I know I cried at that part.
I love the whole concept of the White Lotus, like, oh, it was great.
Yes, it's so cool. So that's pretty much it. And also, real quick before we end, since this is pre-recorded, I don't know if you guys heard this news, but on February 24th, Nickelodeon announced that they were launching Avatar Studios to expand the Avatar The Last Airbender franchise. So basically, this is a whole separate studio dedicated to creating spin-off series and, like, movies within the Avatar universe. I don't know if they'll ever bring in, like, the original characters, like Aang and them together, but also the original creators are going to be working on this since, you know, they kind of ended their deal with Netflix and the adaptation, which I don't know if that live action is still going on, because there's a rumor a couple days after that they were trying to change Katara's age so she's the older sibling instead of Sokka. I don't know if that live action is still happening.
I don't like it when Netflix does adaptations.
I don't like that.
They just never do it well.
Yeah, but yeah.
That's exciting, though, that's, like, a thing. I would love to see, like, I don't know about you guys, but I'd love to see the in-between time after defeating the Fire King and before, like, Korra. because we don't get to see a lot of their life, in between.
But yeah, like I said, they have that in the comics, and they're still the same age. But I would like to see adult them. I really want to see them build Republic City.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Because, I mean, we get flashbacks, like, in Korra, but, like, I want to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Or just a movie. I want to watch some girl, like, Ray's little Tenzin and finding out, like, he's an airbender. Like, him and Aang being the only airbender before Tenzin grows up and has his own children.
Yeah.
So, but that's it, guys. That is Avatar, The Last Airbender. Of course, like with all of them, we left a couple episodes out because we would have been sitting here forever trying to break down each and every episode. So just a couple ones I thought we can go more in depth talking about, relating it to life and just the show in general. But yeah, what did you guys think? How did you feel about doing that?
I thought it was great. Great ending to a great show.
Yes, a show that I hold dear to my heart. Honestly, I feel like I got a lot of my moral values from.
Yeah, a lot of wisdom in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much more than just a normal kids show, I think.
As I proven to you guys last time, that's where I got my concept, time is an illusion, which I didn't realize until I rewatched the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have Sparky Sparky Boom Man and Hot Man stuck in my head now. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, if I go out today, I'm just gonna nod to people and in my head say, Hotman?
Hello. Hello, Miss Hotman. Hello, Mr. Hotman.
Oh my god. Okay. So we're done. But thank you for joining us. Thank you, Peace and Macy, for letting me talk about my favorite childhood show.
No problem.
Mm-hmm. I would consider it my favorite as well.
Mine too.
So this is really fun to deep dive back into it, and it brought up a lot of old memories. It's cool I've watched it multiple times as an adult, but just to like say things out loud, it does make you think more about it.
Yeah, and getting other people's perspective of like how they saw certain situations. So it's always good. It's always good to dissect stuff. I don't know if we'll be able to do this with other kid shows, but I'm sure we can do this with other shows in general.
Yeah, probably not as in depth, but I'm sure there are lots of. I think they purposely put life lessons in kids shows. It's kind of the point. So definitely expand on that topic.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, before we go, do we have any other closing thoughts about Avatar, or just in general?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
I think we said it already.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. I always say subscribe weirdly. I don't know why. But anyway, we'd really appreciate it. If there's any types of ratings and comments, you're still waiting on those comments, or just emails. Let us know how we're doing at iwasthinkingpod@gmail.com. And you can follow us on social media, only Instagram and Twitter at the moment, at iwasthinkingpod. Yeah, I almost said at gmail.com again, but it's at iwasthinkingpod. I will put the link in the description because I don't know if people actually know how to spell it. Because thinking is not spelled out fully.
True.
Yes. Oh, real quick, I'm also going to put the links in this episode. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but there used to be a time, I think they're re-uploaded, of like little chibi videos that they used to put on YouTube of like Avatar in the universe. It was just like random stuff of like them in school and stuff like that.
I think I remember those.
Because they came up on my feed for some reason and it was really cute. If you haven't watched it, I'll link it, but it's adorable. But anyway, thanks guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.